kweli. So Macharia kama hanisikii. Okay, endelea bro.
I think kazi ndio amefunga mic.
Okay, can I proceed?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay, asante sana. KUT. Before maybe we retire, because time is actually not on our side. And I think we are still clearing the air. And to make it very brief, si ati tuko hapa like we are here to support anybody, to support the regime and so on, but we are here to speak up what we feel. Chenye mimi na feel nikiwa kwangu ama nikiwa kwenye niko, it's always good to give out, because I believe what I feel and somebody else in Moyale feels and somebody else in Mombasa anasikia, it is always good to put kuiweka tu hapa. Number one, KUT, like uko na familia, or else let me just give it to myself. Mimi niko na familia, and it happens like tumekosana na bibi, and then kuna watoto pale, we have my relatives and so on. Nipate like bibi aniongeleshi, watoto waniongeleshi, majirani waniongeleshi, relatives waniongeleshi, and vitu kaa zile zihappen. I'll have to sit down and nifikiria what is not happening. Nikienda kuongea na watoi wangu za challenge, nikienda kuongea na relatives za challenge. The reasons why napeana hii mfano, nilijiweka tu kwa kiatu chenye like Mr. President alikuwa. Like I remember very well, Kenya Kwanza, okay, ilipo tu ingia tu kwa maybe kwa usukani, ilikuwa imeweka opposition kando kabisa, and they were nowhere to be heard, and they felt like they are rejected, or else walikuwa kando kabisa. Mimi nilijiuliza tu swali moja, what made the Kenya Kwanza government to endorse, or else kuleta opposition on board? Those are the kind of rhetoric questions that linger in my mind. Nikajiuliza tu kwa sababu gani? Okay, well, I remember very well walipoingia then hawakuwa wameweka opposition sana. They just went vile walikuwa marafiki and so on, how they helped each other maybe in their political side, kwa siasa zao and so on, and it went on. But later on, after mambo na movement, after revolution so on, nikajiuliza tu swali, how comes ati imefika to a point opposition imewekwa, ama kuna mahali okay, well, hata ikiwa si opposition, kuna watu opposition, kuna mahali wamepewa wakae kwa serikali. That is actually that was my first question. Nikisema hivyo ni kwa sababu gani? Nilijiweka kwa kiatu yake. Okay, mambo na finance bill, maybe what I believe, chenye najua mambo na finance bill ni njia tu ya serikali kutafuta pesa. And for me, sikuwa nimeenda through finance bill sana, but I was just taking 1, 2, 3 things that zilikuwa zinafinyilia what, okay, guys they were complaining about. But after kuanalyze and I stand to be collected, maybe to be corrected in a way, mimi nilikuwa nasikia like kuna part kubwa sana those guys wenye wako juu kidogo, kuna mahali walikuwa wanafinywa tu kwa ukuta kabisa. Kwa sababu gani? Like for example, mimi niliangalia the 1.5% yenye iliwekwa mambo na watu wa kufanya kazi. Ilikuwa inatolewa 1.5 kwa employee, 1.5 kwa employer. And I think ilileta shida tu sana because ilitoka 6% and 3%, let alone they settled to around 1.5%. But since hata mimi nimeajiriwa, for example, nikachukulia example tu moja. Mtu mwenye analipwa 30,000 Kenya shillings, tuseme like alikuwa anatolewa 500 Kenya shillings. But like for example, mimi nikiwa nimeajiriwa, nikiwa peke yangu nimetolewa 500 Kenya shillings. But mwenye ametuajiri tukiwa 5,000. Tuseme tuko industry area kwa kampuni, ametuajiri tukiwa 5,000 Kenya shillings. So kila msee alikuwa amtolee, ama each and every employee alikuwa amtolee 500 Kenya shillings. Okay, mimi nikiangalia nikaona mdosi wetu ama mwenye ametuajiri kuna mahali alikuwa nafinyika kidogo. Kwa sababu gani? Ametutolea 500 Kenya shillings tukiwa 5000, maybe 5000 employees, na sasa mimi mwenyewe still yangu 500 imetolewa pale. So basically kwangu mimi how I was trying to interpret this, it was a way, ni jail tu ilikuwa ya serikali kutafuta pesa. But my question ile swali nilikuwa najiuliza ni sawa, serikali inaweza kuwa na mbinu mzuri sana ya kutafuta pesa, lakini sasa kuna haja gani mimi 500 yangu tuseme nimetolewa, and then baada ikifika treasury iende kwa account yangu, tuseme like for example niko Makadara ama niko whatever place I am, baada nisikie my 500 imejenga barabara, mashule zimepewa chakula, watoto wamepewa chakula and so on. Nasikia hiyo pesa kuna mtu mahali anafanya fundraising nayo, kuna mtu mahali labda anafanya vitu maybe ananunua vitu expensive sana nazo. Okay, that is the general thing yenye niliangalia nikaona kuna mahali ambapo as in like hii kitu yenye ati ilifika to a point of at regime ya Kenya Kwanza inaweza leta like opposition on board. Iliniuma sana kwangu, na ndipo mimi I was just trying to clear things. Si ati tuko pale like tunaangalia tu side moja, but we are just trying to kuangalia tulikosea wapi, ni wapi tulianzia maneno. Kwa sababu gani? I believe like vile tu watu walipo nafasi mahali, hata ikiwa walienda at pass, vile tu walikuwa nasema unajua walikuwa wanatuambia, walikuwa nasema they went at their actually at their personal levels, but okay, for me I don't believe so. But what I believe, ikiwa like opposition walikuwa kwa wananchi, hata wangepewa hizo offers tuseme like the 4 positions, hawangeitikia. That's why mimi nasema tu vizuri. Point number 1, huyu jamaa alipopigwa side and side, east, west, north, south, aliona the only hope yenye anaweza kaa chini at least aweze kukul mambo chini, kwa sababu amepata Gen Z ndio hao, matajiri ndio hao, opposition anajua vizuri sana walikuwa wamenyamaza, still kuna mahali wana impact kidogo. Akasema let me just call my friend, akakaa chini na walipoongea 1 2 3 they settled on one thing and it went on. Sisi vile tu my fellow speakers wanaongea, wanasema vizuri sana, sisi tunapigana, tunaongea, then tunaachwa kwa jua. So these are the kind of things that I feel mimi kwangu we need to stand, tujue ni wapi tunakosea na ni njia zipi hizi tunafuata, that we need to kurekebisha kidogo. Like for example, guys are talking about the 11-11. Okay, unajua what I know is tunaweza panga and then kukue kushapangwa. So these are the kind of things that we need to settle on. Kitu ingine nilikuwa najiuliza ni the Adani thing, the shift thing, the SHA thing. Like kuna speaker fulani ameongea pale na akasema okay, we need to learn things, na ni mzuri. By the way, I'm always very ready to learn from people. Ikiwa the Adani thing, the SHA thing, the shift thing, ikiwa sio kitu personal, kusema tu kweli, mpaka saa hii watu wangekuwa kwa barabara because of that. Mimi nilitumia kwa hii simu yangu, nilitumiwa tu message ati nisha kuwa registered kwa SHA. Sasa from the time that mimi mwenyewe niliona the SHA thing ishaingia and I'm against it, ningekuwa kwa barabara, but up to this point hatuko. Kitu ingine nilikuwa naangalia ni, and I don't know my fellow colleagues also feels like me, the time huyu jamaa ama maybe the time that mkuu wetu alikuja kwa space, I also feel that hiyo ndio wakati tulikuwa na opportunity, kwa sababu ikifika to a point of like vile tunajua mkuu wetu vizuri, ni mtu very hard, ni mtu huwezi elewa, ni mtu as in like how do I describe him, ni mtu anajulikana, ni mtu mgumu sana. Ikifika to a point of ameambia CS ndio nyumbani, ameambia watu amesema hii finance bill kwanza wekeni kwanza pembeni, alikuwa amefika mwisho. So it was a high time, that was the time sisi sasa tuge akina whatever how are we calling them, Otemo, akina KUT, akina whoever person wenye walikuwa online, that was the time, that was the best time. And I also regret for me kusema ati tulifika to a point of ati tunaweza sema tuko tribeless, tuko leaderless. Sasa utaenda kupigana vita na hauna hata kiongozi. Sawa, tutaambiwa tunaweza ongea 1 2 3 tuende kwa meza, tutaenda sisi wa Kenya wote, tutaenda youth wote kwa hiyo meza. Okay, kuna vile like some of us walifikiria they know the history behind our kiongozi, walifikiria like kuna vile like inaweza fanyika opposite, but I always believe, Mswahili husema vizuri sana, mui huwa mwema, na sitetei mtu, mui huwa mwema. And ikiwa ilikuwa imefika to a point of like toa hii weka hii, toa kwanza tulieni hii, so I also believe like hiyo chance ndio still tulikuwa nayo muhimu sana from that kwa sababu mimi nilisikia tu vizuri, I also heard very clearly alikuwa anajaribu like yeah, come on board, kujeni on board, tujue how to solve it. Na saa hii let me talk to my youth and to my fellow Kenyans, tukiendelea tu hivi, saa hii opposition wanakula vizuri, saa hii opposition wanafanya mambo yao vile inafaa, they are fighting for positions. They fought for the 4 positions. Right now they are fighting for the interior position. They will also fight for the speaker position just to strategize themselves. Sasa sisi watu wa kawaida tuko wapi? So those are the kind of things that we need to sit down and to deliberate on. Tusifikiria hii tuanze kumention huyu, kumention mtu mwingine, kumention sijui huyu alifanya, Otemo alikafanya, KUT akafanya. No, let's forget about the past and watch whatever wrong that we went, maybe we undergone through, we went through. Let us not repeat that and strategize on a new thing from the word go. Ili ikifika to a point of, ikiwa like vile tu nimesikia speaker mwingine akisema, ikiwa watu walijitolea, mawakili wakajitolea, madaktari wakajitolea, everybody akajitolea, watu wasitokea 11 tusikie hakuna kujitolea, ama tusikie kuna mtu like okay, we are not saying okay, we are not forcing anybody, but let us ile momentum yenye watu walikuwa nayo wameenda tu nayo, let us maintain the momentum. But I'm worried since saa hii kutoka hiyo time kuna vitu zimeendelea, the Adani thing, the Shah thing, the Shiv thing, vitu tu mingi, maybe maybe the presidential time limit imekuwa pale, but hakuna mwenye kwa barabara, hakuna mwenye like for example vitu kazi ile, na tukisema like tunaweza enda kwa barabara tunakuwa tumegojewa. That is my biggest worry. Thank you so much, KUT.
KUT umelala?
Ngoja kiasi tu, kuna kitu na rectify hapo backend.
Okay. Yeah, wakati KUT anafanya kazi bora, I think umeongea vizuri sana. Na umeraise a lot of points. Unajua ile kitu ilifanyika kwanza ya Ruto kuita opposition. Kwanza, we don't even have anything to regret, because kusema opposition anakula vizuri, I don't think so. Because ile kitu si tulikuwa tunapigania, it was not about positions. Yeye kama hata angetuita, hata tungeenda kuzungumza, highest ilikuwa ni nini? Si ilikuwa wacha niwapatie Ministry of Youth, labda niongeze agenda, labda sijui niongeze nini. Those were only 3 positions that it was not going to sort out things that we were fighting for. Remember, we are fighting for transparency. We were fighting for accountability. We were fighting against the punitive taxation. We were fighting for corruption. So hata kama tungepata hizo positions azingeweza kusolve those problems, because hata ukapatiwa positions hizi kazi na hauna the absolute power katika hiyo position, because hiyo position umepatiwa tu uko stunge pale, lakini orders zinatoka somewhere. Aingesuluhisha matakwa ile ambayo tulikuwa tumeraise. So I think ilikuwa tu ni kind of divide and rule tactics, and it is even good that we did not participated in those talks, because this word now it could have been using against us, kwamba hawa jamaa niliwaita, even maybe hata watu wangepatiwa position wangetafutwa scandal, ndio aseme hao Gen Z walikuwa anakuja hapa kunipigia kelele, nimewapatia position, angalia kazi mwashinda, you know, those kind of games. But I want to agree with you that ni mpaka lini, tutangojea mpaka lini? Kama vile unasema shift imekuja, all of a sudden unapata tu message imekuja kwa simu yako, ujiregister, alafu unapata kwamba unaambiwa kwamba umeregister. Kuna mtu alisema ya kuisiolo, message ikaingia hivyo, alipoenda kuangalia anaona kwamba kuna msichana sijui anaitwa Chemgetich 9 years, na huyu jamaa ana mtoto ati ndio beneficiary wake, you know. So unapata kwamba kuna mambo mengi ambayo inaendelea, lakini kando na hiyo, just even focus on the killings, the magnitude of killings including femicide. Hiyo peke yake inatosha tukuje streets, manake hatuwezi hata kuongea mambo ya tax, mambo ya airport. Ile kitu muhimu sana ni our lives. Sasa when one life is lost, 2 zinafika 100, zinafika 1000, that alone itself, because hata siku hizi mtu unatembea ukiwa unalala kama jogoo, jicho moja ukiwa umefungua, ukisikia sauti ya gari nje ushaanza kubabaika, unaanza kujiuliza, kwani nimefanyaje leo? Niliongea kwa space ya nani? Niliongea kwa space ya KOT, labda kuna mtu alinisikiza, nilikuwa kwa space gani? Niliongea wapi? You know, yani tunaishi maisha ya ofu. Sasa hiyo peke yake inatosha tayari tukasirike na tukuje. So nakubaliana na wewe kwamba watu lazima waamue. And yes, and of course mambo mengi yamefanyika. Wamejaribu kutugawanya vile wanaweza, lakini huwezi gawanya watu mamilioni. So ni ile kitu tu kwamba tuache uoga kando, alafu tukuje sasa tukiwa tumejipanga na tujue kwamba tuko peke yetu. So nakubaliana na wewe kabisa kazi that sasa ni tujue kwamba we are left alone and now we need to fight for ourselves. So yeah, we need to have a collective voices, request the mic, tuweze kuzungumza, kubadilishana mawazo. Yeah, kindly request the mic. Let's hear from everyone.
So Fabish, I think moving forward pia hapa online, we need now to continue with our civic education on this platform, the digital civic education, the way we used to do. And so mimi I've always been requesting that we get graphic designers to wapatie content, they create posters kama yenye nimeshare tu saizi hapo. You find out that there is this one graphic designer who has been doing this over and over again, but now so we said we need to put our efforts together. And so I know kama kwa hii space, I honestly believe that we have some graphic designers, so we need to amplify these voices every now and then. Yeah, we can use the graphic designing to air out our issues, speak about what is happening, kama ni hizo bills zenye tunasema, kama hata ni hii issue ya Adani, whatever issue ya SHA and so on and so forth. So it's good kama mtu unaweza jitolea and then we'll give you the content. You can come up with the good posters, good flyers, good placards, and then we can always be sharing here every now and then. I think that one will also keep the momentum alive. We'll keep the movement alive. So jama, kama kuna any graphic designer, honestly, wewe nitafute tu. I don't know how we can work closely, but I feel like we need to do that because hii online pia kuna wale huwa wasomi hizi mapost zenye tunaweka refu, but when someone says a poster, then they will pause kidogo, they stop scrolling and see the information on that poster. So if you have any graphic designer, kindly just DM me, then we can even come up with groups to ensure that we produce posters and graphic contents every now and then.
Yeah, that one will work. Because yeah, inakuwa ni rahisi kama information imekuwa compressed, ikakuwa compiled, ikawekwa into a poster. So inasaidia. Wacha tusikie kutoka kwa Caleb. Wakungu.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I've just joined the conversation just now. So I'm trying to follow up, and then maybe I will speak later. Let me just follow first. Huh?
Okay. Kazi, did you add anything to add?
Okay, ni kama hiyo ya KUT imenipita kidogo in terms of the graphics and so on kidogo tu.
What KOT was suggesting ni kuwa kama kuna graphic designers, they can be taking the content ya zile vitu ambao tunafanya kwa spaces, and then they design the graphics hizo messages. Maanake uti anasema zingine we write long post, watu hawana time ya kusoma, lakini when they are compressed and put in as a poster, inakuwa ni mtu anaweza kukua haraka akasimama akasema wacha asome.
Okay, it's a good thing, good idea and a viable one, but I want maybe to comment on maybe on it and what I believe for me, kusema tu kweli Fabi, okay, ni example napeana. Ukizaa kiwete uwezi uwa kiwete ama utupe, si ndio? You'll have to know how to survive with the situation. And why I'm saying this, sahi maybe in the next like 2 to 3 years or else vile itakuwa kuna mwenye amekalia kiti, it's the high time that tunafaa kujua vile tuko. And the reason is why nasema hivi, I hope you guys muliona situation ilifanyika Kiambu, Duberi. It happened like hiyo kitu ikaonekana vile iko and then ikaleta issues. So we need to be very smart. And what I know and what I believe in myself, I always mimi hupenda actually I always love to work smart but avoid working hard, kwa sababu let us be smart. Hii mambo yenye inafanyika hivi, hata wao wako smart, hata wenye wanatuongoza sahi wako smart. We are trying to complain about corruption. How I wish, like for example, if we have another revolution kwa ground, even mambo na Adani, mambo na Shiv, mambo na whatever, okay, those are their smartness, well and good, but ile kitu yote yenye inatusumbua sahi, and you guys can coincide with me or else you can believe ile kitu inatuumiza sahi na imekuwa ikituumiza for years. It's all about corruption. Now my question is how do we deal with corruption? Mr. Kibaki alituachia the 2010 constitution, a very smart constitution, and I always salute Mr. Uhuru. Okay, I don't love sipendangi sana kumention wase sana. I always salute huyo kiongozi mwenye alikuwa anatuongoza by then, kwa sababu he dealt with the 2010 constitution perfectly penye angeweza, so kulikuwa na challenges zilifanyika. And you guys, if you can believe with me, that is the time that pesa ya umma ilipotea. And let me, to be very frank, and let us be frank on this, sahi kuna mwenye anatuongoza kama rais, and I believe he is a president. He's actually ni yeye anatuongoza. Okay, kuna wenye they don't believe, but unajua it's always good to be realistic. Ni yeye yuko, hata kesho ni yeye atakuwa, hata kesho kutwa ni yeye atakuwa, but maybe in terms of time limit and so on. But what I believe in, kwa sahi hata ikiwa tunaweza ongea mambo mingi sana in terms of corruption, in terms of all kinds of negativity, in terms of all kinds of like pesa ikapotea wakati tuseme like hata ikiwa ni wakati wa Uhuru, pesa mabilioni zikapotea, watu wote walikuwa pale ndani na sahi wako. So when you're talking about hii mambo yote, hata sahi like we are talking about the Adani thing, the shit thing and whatever. The reason is why we are talking about it, it's all about hii ni biashara ya msee, ni biashara ya mtu okay, ni mtu anataka ikuwe biashara. So that is why I'm talking of hii mambo yote yenye imetusumbua kwa miaka mingi, is all about corruption. How I wish our revolutionists, Gen Zs, millennials and alphas and whatever Kenyans, ikiwa wanaweza kaa kwa barabara hata ikiwa ni kukesha, because the new constitution kuna mahali ambapo like okay, well, kuna wenye wanaielewa vizuri and they are there to maybe to advise us or else kutupeleka na rada. But for me, I believe that tuko na sheria, but sheria makaratasi. That is what mi chenye nimeobserve na nikaona. Kwa sababu gani? Like tuko na sheria ambayo like for example ni ya mnyonge ama ni ya mtu mwenye hana, but for any person that who is very stable na mtu mwenye yuko pale anajisikia yuko sawa, hata mpeleke wapi ama umpeleke wapi, I think that is none of his all her business. And how I wish maybe Wakenya wanaweza kaa chini wajue ikiwa ni the 20% Mwai Kibaki alikuwa amesema inaweza rekebishwa, because I remember very well alisema 80% ya katiba iko tu sawa, but 20% of our new constitution, the 2010 constitution, that's the only thing that Wakenya wanafaa kukaa chini warekebishe 1 2 3. And it was a trial, it was tried. Kukakuwa na mandizi upande ule na whatever thing upande machungwa the other side. Mandizi anataka kuweka interest yake pale, machungwa anataka kuweka interest yake. It was chaotic na ikashindikana. Mpaka sahi haijawezekana. Kwa sababu gani? Because these leaders that we have, and mind you, hata wachana tu na wenye wako juu still, hata sahi yule MCA mwenye tulichagua ama MCA mwenye like alichaguliwa ama MCA mwenye mlichagua, sahi ameingia tu pale with one mentality, akule ama anyakue. So that kind of mentality, it has dragged us as Kenyans. Mpaka sahi tunashindanga kwa space, tunashindanga kwa stations, kwa media, sijui what we are, as in like hii mambo it was messed up. The sababu mimi ya kusema hivyo ni kwa sababu gani? Uhuru alituongoza tu penye angeweza, na the 2010 constitution ni yeye aliface in terms of implementation. Na mimi kwangu like, cause era yake nilikuwa kwa biashara, kuna vile niliteta tu kidogo, kwa sababu kuna vile like kulikuwa na uchungu kidogo kwa mtu mwenye ana pesa, and that is hiyo ndio kitu moja ilimchangia kwenda tu, na una mahali ambapo like hakusikizwa and so on kidogo tu, kulikuwa na hiyo interference. But when you talk, okay, for me vile tu mimi niliona vile alitupeleka, kuna vile tulifinyika, but sahi tunaona matunda. Naona SGR, naona super highway, naona sijui express, naona mashule zimejengwa, mahospitali zimejengwa, na nakumbuka hizo project zilianzia by sen. I don't understand the reason as to why like the current leader sahi ako na wakati mgumu, who else mabarabara, most of the mabarabara zimejengwa, or else maybe ni kwa sababu ya hii maneno naona na moral like okay, inaweza kuwa like well, but I believe mambo mingi ilifanyika hata ikiwa zingine zinaonekana hazikufanyika, but barabara okay, let's focus on one thing. Barabara zilijengwa, hospitali zikajengwa, express zikakuja, sijui SGR zikaletwa. So hata ikiwa kuna ugumu tulienda tusahii tunajivunia, well, tulitumika kama daraja mahali, but I believe sahii we can see it. But I also believed apparently sahii mwenye anatuongoza anafaa kuwa na wakati mzuri sana ama wakati rahisi sana, kwa sababu it's all about focusing on industrialization, unemployment, agriculture, vitu kazi ile. But in terms of development mingi, barabara kujenga, mahospitali kujenga, mashule kujenga, sijui hizo vitu mingi zishafanyika na zilikuwa they were budgeted for, na pesa mingi kachukuliwa, and that is when pesa mingi, you guys, you can consider, you can just hear from me that is, kuna sahi we have some of our Kenyans walika 10 years as governors in their respective counties, 10 good years wakati wa uhuru, na sahi wako. Mind you, mimi najiulizanga tu swali, hao watu wamenyamazia tu. Huo ndio wakati nilikuwa nasikia kuna hurubaru ilikuwa inanunuliwa ngiri 100, well else inafaa kutoka 3,000 ama 4,000. Huo ndio wakati nilikuwa nasikia kuna kalamu inanunuliwa 8,000, well else inanunuliwa mimi hununua kalamu 50,000, I mean 50 Kenya, 50 bob. So that is how we got to this, to all these menace. Kwa sababu gani? All in the name of corruption. As I finalize ama nikimalizia, how I wish maybe tunaweza focus tuna kitu moja, ufisadi. How do we deal with this? Not unless sheria ikue on top. Kwa sababu gani? Kuna mainchi like okay, maybe kuna wenye labda or they can maybe wanaweza tuwekea maybe clarity on this. Mimi usikia China, they were the first guys ama walikuwa watu wa kwanza kukuwa na mambo na scandals za corruption, and within whatever thing after kuongana they finalized na wakasema anybody mwenye anapatikana na utumizi mbaya wa mali ya umma ama anything to do with corruption anapigwa risasi. I don't know whether it's 100% true. It happens. Rwanda juzi, Mr. Kagame alichaguliwa na, wachana na Kenya tunasemanga 50+1%, alichaguliwa na more than 100%. Kwa sababu gani? Hii nchi tu karibu na sisi, the history, mimi I'm trying to give the history part of it. Walikaa tu chini, they were still having such kind of problems, corruption, kutumia pesa ya umma vibaya. Hao watu walikaa chini still, na president wao tu akasema namna gani mtu mwenye anapatikana na mambo na ufisadi ama mambo na kutumia mambo ya mali ya umma vibaya anafungwa maisha. And I believe the first suspect to be caught with this alikuwa family kawaida tu. Like for example, hata mimi nikiwekwa nitaweka my fellow colleagues ama relatives wangu pale. So it happened, relative wa Kagame akapatikana. Paka saa hii huenda kumwangalia, na akimwangalia anamwambia sio mimi nilikufunga, ulifungwa na sheria. So I'm trying to focus on our law in terms of sheria kuhandle corruption Kenya. That is that's the weakness that we have. Kwa sababu gani? Guys, watu wanaiba
kazi malizia ndio tuende kwa the real
yeah. Okay, watu wanaiba hadharani. So ikiwa mimi naweza enda kwa barabara tena, ama ikiwa tunaweza enda kwa barabara tena, let us focus hii mambo na corruption, hii mambo na ufisadi. Ukipatikana na ufisadi ama ukipatikana na mali ya umma umetumia vibaya, ikuwe strict, ikiwa mwizi wa kuku anauliwa, why not that kind of a person? Asante sana.
Yeah, nipatie the real. nataka tu kukueleza kitu kimoja, ujue kuwa the reason why we delegated powers to them ilikuwa ni shida si sheria. Sheria tuko nazo nyingi sana, hakuna sheria hata moja, kipengee hata moja ambayo inakubali corruption hapa Kenya. Sheria it is very strict. Kama unakumbuka ule wa Luke, wakati alipatikana alifungwa almost 60 years, but sasa ako nje, ako bungeni akitutapikia. Kumbuka Oparanya ambao EACC alikuwa amesema kwamba kuna kesi, saizi ni minister anazunguka na bendera tukiwapigia makofi. So the problem is not our law, the problem is the actors, the political actors. That is why wakati tunasema kwamba tukiwa this country, it is only William Ruto to go out. The problem is not about the law, but the people to implement that law are the problem. Sheria yetu bado sawa.
Implementers. So the problem ni implementers.
The actors, yes, because they are the one that's supporting it. They are the one practicing it. That is a problem that we have. It is not about sheria yetu bado iko sawa. Tunaweza bado kutumia tukiwa na watu ambao wako na goodwill. Kuna wewe ulianza vizuri sana ukatuambia kuhusu Kibaki. Kibaki worked under this same constitution. Na hata ali work under the old constitution. He nearly is a first term. You know, the constitution tumepata 2010 na Kibaki alitoka 2012. Kibaki only practiced this constitution 2 years. Even with the old constitution, kulikuwa corruption si rampant, na hiyo old constitution ile moja alitumia na akapora nchi akamaliza. Lakini Kibaki akakuja with the same constitution, lakini kila kitu ikakuwa upright. So the problem always is not about the law, but the will of those actors. The real. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Fabish, and also thank you for giving guidance to the previous speaker. But kitu moja naweza mwambia ni amesema mambo mingi which is okay. I mean, I agree with him that gains from previous regime, say Uhuru regime, Kibaki regime, zingekuwa capitalized by the current regime. But I don't agree with him when he says that Uhuru worked very well and Uhuru did a good job, and now we are seeing SGR, we are seeing Expressway, we are seeing he needs to find out the story behind SGR and behind Expressway. SGR was supposed to cost Kenyans just well of 55 billion. It ended up costing Kenyans 1.05 trillion. That is more than 10 times the cost of SGR. So you need to find out why. When Expressway was supposed to cost 28 billion, it ended up costing 70 something billion. So you need to ask yourself why. So this massive infrastructural projects yenye unasema tuko nayo hapa, we are not supposed to celebrate ati tuko na Expressway and you don't know how much we are paying for it. Do you know how much we are paying for Expressway? You might not be aware. Do you know that we paid Eurobond at an interest rate of 10%? Are you aware of that? You might not be aware. Do you know what that did to our economy? Do you know at some point dollar was going very high in our economy? You might not be aware. Don't celebrate things that are not making sense in our country in the name of we have infrastructure. We don't have infrastructure. We cannot celebrate having infrastructure at the detriment of our economy. When Uhuru came to power, our debt was just 1.8 trillion. When Uhuru left, he had increased the debt by 343%. Are you aware of that? Our debt went to 8.8 trillion. With 8 trillion, can you say what 8 trillion has done to our economy? Do you know what 8 trillion means? 8 trillion is our budget for the next 4 years. Are you aware of that? 8 trillion is our budget for the next 4 years. Our tax revenues, yes, our tax revenues might have increased, but yes, that is world over. I mean, we cannot be going downward. We should only be going upwards in terms of tax revenues, but we cannot celebrate a madness in our country like Kenya, where we need to have proper administration. And you are talking about a 2010 constitution. I mean, if you're talking about 2010 constitution, let's look at the 2010 constitution, by the way. When we had the first budget ya Uhuru and Ruto, if you look at our 2010 constitution, just like Fabish amekwambia, the implementers of the constitution are the ones who are a problem. If you look at the first budget we have of the 2010 constitution that was presented to parliament, if you read article 221, did you see any budget estimates in that budget? Have you ever seen any budget estimates in the last 12 years provided in parliament, so that you can celebrate what Uhuru did? In the last 10 years of Uhuru's budget, we never saw any budget estimates in parliament. That means if you are supposed to go by the constitution, all those budgets of the last 10 years are unconstitutional. Do you know that? If you look at the budget that we presented for the last 12 years, even with the Ruto budget, even just the last year budget and the budget in 2023, we've never seen any budget estimates. So we cannot celebrate madness in a country like Kenya, that we are supposed to have principles. Anyway, let me not dive so much into that. I'll try and talk into the topic of the day. Is the Gen Z, Gen Zote movement compromised? Yes, I think the movement could be compromised in a way. The government is working day and night to ensure that the movement is scattered in a way. That is why you get information being distorted right now. And right now we are speaking different languages. I'm surprised someone can talk about celebrating Uhuru regime. It is madness. By the time Uhuru was leaving office, we had pending housing projects and incomplete. But Ruto came and says housing project is one of the best projects, and that is one of his signature projects. If you look at one of his signature projects, we have houses worth 1.5 billion unsold. By the way, these housing projects are being sold, yet people are being deducted the money. How is that implementing Article 43 of our Constitution? We need to understand these things, man. We cannot just talk out of just speaking in the sake of talking. We need to have some understanding in this, and that is why we have problems. That is why we are ending up having finance bill coming back into our country through backdoor. We are having finance bill. Nilikuwa nasikia watu mahali and another space just yenye meisha tu saa hii. Nilikuwa nasikia watu wanaongea vizuri sana about the incoming so-called deputy president, who has a legacy of 339 people killed since August to date, who has a legacy of femicide behind him, who has a legacy of Kware killings, who has a legacy of Gen Z protest killing, who has a legacy of killings in 2023 in protests. And we are celebrating and we are seeing he's a good man. And those are the things that we celebrate in our country. Unfortunately, that is wrong. We cannot celebrate those kind of things in a country that's supposed to have structures. Are we supposed to celebrate those kind of things? Kibaki was very corrupt, by the way. You need to understand that. Kibaki was a corrupt man. Very corrupt. Kibaki's regime was never devoid of corruption. The likes of Ruto were supposed to have been fired during Kibaki regime. Kibaki defended Ruto, actually, in fact. So these are some of the things that we are not supposed to defend in our country in terms of speaking out. We cannot defend such kind of things. The country needs to understand. And this movement is being scattered based on information right now. We are losing the info. At some point, we used to control the information war. We have lost grasp of the information war. We are losing it because we are going back to our old self, whereby we used to be negligent, even on information. I heard someone say how SHIF is good in another space and how it is going to improve our healthcare. Madness. I mean, there are some people who are speaking because I don't know, they're celebrities. I just put someone into task. You need to address Kenyans who have understanding of these issues. If you don't have if you think you can only talk because maybe you're a media personality and you think because you're in the limelight, you know more than people, you need to understand how Kenyans are well educated more. Don't think that Kenyans are foolish people. Wakenya wamesoma. So if you think that you can come and tell people about SHIF and SHA, and you think people are not aware about SHIF and SHA, and you want to glorify it and make it look nice, you are mad. How is SHIF and SHA at giving Kenyans, as per Article 43 of our Constitution, high standards of healthcare, which is demanded by our Constitution? How is it? Yet the PS aliambia wa Kenya, if you want more healthcare services, go and seek private medical insurance. That is a PS telling you that, and you are telling Kenyans that SHA is bringing better health services. Are you mad? I mean, are you mad? If you are talking about universal healthcare, unajua kuna watu wengine wanasemanga hizi vitu wakifikiria Wakenya wajui hizi vitu, ama Kenyans have not done research, or Kenyans have not studied, or Kenyans are just negligent. They are playing on our on people, imagining people are negligent. People are not negligent. People are aware of these things. People are aware of these things. Watu wanajua hizi vitu. Saa zingine tu watu wataki kuzangalia because watu wamechoka. But someone is talking about SHIF and SHA as if it is just a normal thing. But there are people in hospitals. I'll give you statistics of people in hospitals. I mean, you look for a practical example. Go to any public facility, even right now as we are speaking in this space, and go and you will find a very huge number of people paying from their pockets. In fact, if you want the exact figures, I will tell you that Kenyans used 150 billion out of their pockets in the last 1 year on medical services. 150 billion out of pocket. That is, those are things that are there. Those are facts. Those are facts. We are not cooking the figure. This is actually, one thing about our government, they really know how to give figures, and they really know to document things, not knowing. And they do this because they believe that Kenyans don't read these things and Kenyans don't know about these things. That's why they give you all that information, because you will do nothing about it. And we cannot allow ourselves to fall into this kind of things. When we don't have healthcare, it is your right. Your rights are not given to you by the state. That is what the Constitution says in Article 19. Your rights are not granted to you by the state. Your rights are your rights. The Constitution only documents it. So if you think that the government should give you proper medical care and they don't give it to you, and you are there telling Kenyans that, chief is coming to help Kenyans, you are mad. You are mad. In fact, the government should not give you, it is there for you to enjoy. If they don't do it, that is a red line. If the government kills its people, that is a red line. You have a right to life. If the government abducts people because of giving contrary information to what they are doing, that is a red line, because you have freedom of expression. These are there, and nobody is granting them to you. And nobody will try and sell you anything other than that. So we need to challenge some of these ideologies zenye watu wanakuja nazo saa zingine hata kwa space saa zingine to defend madness. We cannot defend madness in our country. We need to see. I'll tell you, by the time Uhuru was leaving Kenyans with a debt of 8 trillion, we could not see anything. We had nothing to show for it. And someone is in a space saying that, Adani deal is a good deal, only that the government has not marketed it properly. You are mad. How is a deal that an Indian company coming to give you 248 billion for 30 years of your airport? Do you know what that means? 248 billion for 30 years of your airport. Do you know what the government loses in corruption? 680 billion a year. In 1 year, the government loses 680 billion. How many projects of Adani can they do with that 680 billion that they lose to corruption? So you want to give someone a project of 248 billion for 30 years, and in fact, these people don't even have that money. You are giving them that project, that deal, and then you're giving them your title deed so that they can take the loan, so that they can take a loan in case they don't have that money. And you want to tell us that Adani deal is a good deal, only that the government has not marketed properly? You need to go and lie to your children. Not everybody is your child, and don't think Kenyans are devoid of information. Najua kuna watu wanaongeanga wanafikiria wa Kenya ama juu anaonekana kwa TV, sasa mtu anafikiria sasa anaweza ongea mbele ya watu akifikiria Kenyans have information ban. Watu wengine ni wajinga tu. And people are giving them problem ni Wakenya mnapatia watu wengine too much attention. They don't need those kind of attention. You need to read this thing for yourself and understand it yourself. This PPP Act, those who are talking so much, PPP Act came to our country in 2013 during Uhuru. Just 3 years after our 2010 constitution, Uhuru brought in the PPP Act. It was reviewed in 2017. The act was reviewed in 2017. These are things that have been there in our country. So we cannot try to glorify. Ruto is just trying to steal as much as he can for a very short period of time. Maybe he knows that he might not get to even 2027, 2032. He's trying to steal within the shortest time possible. Kenyans are awake. Kenyans need to be very, very enlightened about these kind of things. So it is very mad for people to support someone like Kindiki, Professor. He supported Ruto in The Hague. He was Ruto's lawyer in The Hague when Ruto was facing charges against humanity. He supported Ruto. I mean, that is a lawyer. That is his responsibility. But that is when he started associating with blood. And that is why we are seeing people are being killed in Kware and nobody's talking about it. We have normalized deaths in our country. Are we normalized people dying in our country? We need not to normalize such kind of things. The government has a responsibility to protect its citizens. If you read our constitution, Article 238 talks about national security. The government has a responsibility to protect. In fact, the constitution says it protects the people. Security is not about just protecting the people. You need to protect those people. You need to protect their democracy. You need to protect their rights. That's what the constitution says. I mean, if I'm saying something else from the constitution, go and read Article 238. That's what the constitution says. The constitution does not speak about any other thing. It talks about the people. It talks about their rights. It talks about their democracy. It talks about their property. In fact, the constitution has not said that politicians need to be protected. No, it has not said that. It has said the people of Kenya. Those are the people who need to be protected. So when you see people are going up and down, Kina KOT giving civic education to people, this information needs to get to as many people as possible so that Kenyans are aware of what we are dealing with. We are dealing with madness. But I understand that Kenya is a democracy, and therefore people will always have divergent opinions. Hata nilishangaa juzi karibu nishikwe na ulcers when I'm seeing the swearing in of Kindiki. There are some Kenyans who attended the swearing in, and vitu hizo saa zingine ukiangalia unaweza kuwa wazimu. If you are someone who is trying to fight for these things, you might even go mad sometimes. But it is what is happening in our country. We cannot give up on that. Those things the government is showing you so that you can give up. But when Kenyans stand up, these things will just end. Kenyans just need to wake up. Kenyans hakuna kitu ingine Kenya wanafanya. Kenyans need to wake up and stand up against atrocities that are happening in their country. We don't need to tell you that chief is bad until ule kwenye relative yako atakufa ndio usianze kusema chief is bad. No, this thing is bad. Kenyans are being deducted money from their salary by force. At the same time, you have a project that is supposed to cost 104 billion. The system that is running Chief is costing 104 billion, not even complete. It is incomplete. If the government was to upgrade NHIF systems, the government would have used 700 million. They would have saved about 300 and something million, which is money. If you look at right now, we are battling our basic needs. Why would we battle the government in terms of university funding model? Why? Why would you battle the government about university funding model? If you think you need to battle the government against university funding model, read Article 43. Education is your right. Education is the right of Kenyan students. They have a right to get education. So why do we need to battle the government about education? Why do we need to battle the government about health? What is the housing project? I was so mad when I heard the ruling of the Supreme Court and about housing levy. A whole Supreme Court ruling that housing levy is constitutional, and them saying that public participation cannot overturn an act of parliament. Madness. If you read Article 2, that I wonder, because me, I'm not a lawyer, but there's nothing like constitution is not for lawyers. Don't be deluded. Law is written in English. It is simple. Law is written in English. It clearly says involvement of the people, Article 232. And that is all about public service. Involvement of the people is a must. So when you say that public participation cannot, why did the Court of Appeal declare it unconstitutional based on public participation? Those are the answers that we need to get, but we can never get those answers from the Supreme Court right now. We have declared Supreme Court null and void. It cannot give Kenyans justice. So Kenyans need to find an alternative means of getting justice. So we don't have confidence in the executive. Parliament tuliangusha chini, we don't have confidence in it. We don't have confidence in judiciary. And if Kenyans have failed to have confidence in these three arms of government, then Kenyans need to find an alternative way of government. That's what Kenyans are calling for. Because they are these three arms of government, they are enjoying delegated power. They are only enjoying delegated power. And I saw someone rush to court to ask court to interpret to them Article 1. Those are mad people. We don't need interpretation of Article 1. Article 1 imeandikwa na Kizungu, haijaandikwa na Chinese. Article 1 has been written in English. And no, a court should not interpret Article 1. How can you tell a court to interpret to you how you can take back the power that you have given the court? They will misinterpret it. Yeah? So those are some of the things that we saw Kindiki anakuwa sworn in sahi. Haya, ameshakuwa sworn in, ameshika ofisi. Next week we want to start recalling MPs because apparently then IBC is present. Because IBC, how did Kindiki get his clearance? He might have gotten his clearance through IBC because only IBC commissioners. Again, this is not something I'm saying, and that's why I'm giving you reference. If you think I'm just talking out of talking, read Article 137. Read Article 137 of our Constitution. IBC is that these IBC commissioners are supposed to give this person the nominated person. They're supposed actually to declare him. So if IBC was there, then we need to start recalling these mad MPs. Yeah, because the other time we tried, we were told, the CEO alituambia, by the way, we tried to recall we tried to initiate the process of recalling MPs. Because I'm telling you, Kenyans are tired. If we start recalling MPs, you will see Kenyans are tired. We will exercise Article 104 of our Constitution. Now we want to do that because apparently the IBC that declared Kindiki, that is what we want to use to recall MPs, because there are people we need to recall. We need to recall as much as we want to test the limits of our Constitution to the end. And if all those means don't work, I will repeat here on this space, the Constitution is not above the people. The people are above the Constitution. Because if you read the preamble of our Constitution, it says, we the people of Kenya. We give ourselves this Constitution and to our future generation. We give ourselves. Nobody has given us that Constitution. So it cannot purport to be bigger than the people. There is no Constitution. If the people are not there, there will not be any Constitution. So if the people are bigger than the Constitution can never be bigger than the people. If the Constitution is what is being used against the people to push the agenda of tyrants, we will do away with it. We will test the limits of the Constitution. Because I'm someone who believes I have read the Constitution and I have not seen any part of the Constitution that I've read the Constitution and I read it all the time. I have not seen any part of the Constitution that speaks against the people. It is only the people who are using this Constitution. Ni watu wenye wanaisoma kama washavuta bangi. Wanaisoma kama washakula jaba. So wanapiga stories za jaba na Constitution. I've never seen any place in the Constitution that is oppressive to the people. It is the interpretation of the Constitution. And if you read Article 259, that's why I question these people who are called judges and things like that. They're mad people. They are mad people. They don't interpret the Constitution based on... The Constitution gives judicial authority and says judicial authority derives from the people. These are some of the things that we need to understand as a people. Everything revolves around the people. The people are the people are the power. When we understand this, hii kitu itakuwa rahisi sana. Wakenya watatoka nje kwa barabara wote na wataenda wachukue the power which is theirs. See, it happened in Bangladesh. They took back their power. So unaona sasa wanakimbia, they are arresting all those leaders who are corrupt during that regime. The president of Bangladesh used the same tactics that I'm seeing in the Ruto regime. He used to do a lot of PR. But behind the scenes, he killed media personalities. He killed anybody who was against his policies. Behind the scenes, he did that. The same thing that is happening in our country right now. Jaribu kuongea venye tunaongea utakuwa abducted. Jaribu kufanya, these things happen. People are being, but the people need to understand that they need to stand up to the government. they need to stand up. It is your moral responsibility as a person, as a Kenyan citizen, to question mad policies that are happening in our country. It is your moral responsibility. You don't need to dance to anybody's tune. If you do that, you will be oppressed forever, and we will not agree to be oppressed forever. The people who will decide to stand against this will stand in the right side of history. The people who will decide not to stand up against the government will stand in the wrong side of history. And when change comes, change will come one day. I promise you, change will come. Kenyans are tired. We are not the only ones who are tired in the space. Kila Mkenya amechoka. Ni vile wengine wanangoja tu kuona kenye itafanyika. Unajua kuna wengine wana sai. Wengine wana sai. That's why watu wenye wako na sai wanaeliminatiwa. Kuna wenye wana sai, the people who don't have sai are who are waiting. But when they see vitu imechacha, they will get out. All Kenyans are tired. All Kenyans are tired. Kenyans are tired. There's a lot of madness that is happening in this country that needs to be stopped. And I tell you, and I always repeat this so many times, it is only treason. You will be called treasoners when you invade parliament and you fail. It is treasonous when you fail. But when you succeed, you will decide who becomes your next leader. Sleep on that. It is only treasonous when you fail. But when you succeed, you will decide who becomes your next leader. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you a lot, the real. That is the reality. You fail, you become a prisoner. You succeed, you win back your country. Then now you can choose your leader. You decide your leader, and you decide who is a criminal that belongs to prison. That is a food for thought. Understand here, underline here. You only become a prisoner when you lose. Because in the lenses of a criminal, you will see someone who wants to fight him as a criminal because you don't subscribe to that criminality. So the real umeongea a lot of points, and that is the situation of our country now. Hata ukijaribu kuangalia wapi, left, right, center. Yes, and it is now time for action. Hata tukasema to recall MPs, they will go and hide in the judiciary. Tumeona wengine wakikuwa impeached, wanaenda wana hide kwa judiciary. Then those ambao they are enemies of the regime, hao ndio itawakula. Lakini wala ambao they are friends of the regime, watafichwa tu kwa makwapa ya judiciary. That is the situation where we are. And that is why we should understand that Kenya, we are left on our own. So it is our time now to come up in arms and chart our path and take this country back. Free all. Can you come and free everyone? Free all. And Barack, I'm trying to approve your mic. I seem to have problem on my side. Maybe I sent you direct. Kindly reject that mic, and then you can pick from the one that I sent you. You can be able to come in. So, free all. Free all oppressors. Can you come and free us? Amolelala. Seems like you asked the mic na ukalala. Tafadhali tusilale, hatuwezi kulala kwa space na nchi inazidi kuteketea. We need to have those collective voices. Like I think the real umetuambia we si lawyer, lakini dissect constitution kabisa, because shida si constitution. Shida ni watu, the people, the actors. They don't care about constitution. Everything they do, they close their eyes because they believe that wametuzoea sisi wa Kenya, hakuna kitu tutafanya, tutapiga makelele alafu turudi, then waendelee na kazi yao vile wanataka. That is why they always ignore the constitution. So, and remember, the constitution vile the real amesema, ni sisi watu we gave ourselves the constitution, and since we gave ourselves, nobody gave us, so it is ourselves again that we need to protect it. You cannot just give yourself something and then you leave it. You have, when you give yourself something, if you think that thing is valuable, and then you need to protect it. So where we have failed as Kenyans is that we gave ourselves a document, but now we don't want to take responsibility and protect it. We left in the hands of other people that they can choose whether they want to protect it or abuse it. And we all know what is their choice. They have chosen to abuse it. So we that we gave ourselves this document, we need to rise up and go and protect it. Standing for a country